Have you been diagnosed with shoulder impingement, but you don't really know what that means? Or maybe you have some shoulder pain and you've been talking to your friends about it and they say you have shoulder impingement, but again, you don't really know what that means. All right, well, if you have any questions about your shoulder pain or shoulder impingement in particular, then you definitely want to listen to this one today because we're going to talk about shoulder impingement and explain to you exactly what it is. So, in very general terms, shoulder impingement is a space problem. And I'm going to explain that more, but it helps if you keep that big context in mind as we're talking more specifically. All right, so why is it a space problem? Well, what happens is right in your shoulder joint, in this joint right in here, you have a very limited space. So you have the acromion, and it's a part of the bone that sticks out from your shoulder blade. So your shoulder blade's back here, but it has a part that sticks out and it sticks forward, and that's called the acromion. And that forms we call it the roof of the space. Then you've got obviously your arm bone, your humerus, right? And the head of the humerus, and you can feel that right in there. Yeah, that's the bottom of the space. Now, in that space, you also have a lot of ligaments that help to keep the humerus, arm bone, connected to the acromion or the shoulder blade. And those ligaments kind of form the wall, basically, of this space that we're going to be talking about. This space is very aptly named the subacromial space. So it's the space that's sub or under the acromion, okay? So that helps you kind of remember all that, right? Remember, what we're talking about is a space issue because we've got the acromion on the top, we've got the humerus or the arm bone on the bottom, and we've got these ligaments that are connecting them on the side. Now, why does that become a problem? Because of all the things that you have in that very tight space. Most importantly, or at least the ones that usually cause most of the pain, are the rotator cuff tendons. So you've probably heard of your rotator cuff. It's 4 tendons that come together and help to really hold that humeral head into that shoulder blade, right? And so they are what really help with that fine motor activity that we have. We can throw a ball, we can lift up overhead, we can do a lot of different motions with our shoulder, and a lot of that is because of those rotator cuff tendons, which help to hold that humeral head into the socket. But those tendons go through that subacromial space. So if anything happens with the tendons and they happen to get inflamed, they get bigger. And if they get bigger, they take up more space. So you've got the tendons going through what's a small space, and then they get bigger and try to take up more space. But the space can't increase because it has bony walls and ligaments. They can't move, they can't change. So it's important to try to take care of those rotator cuff tendons so they don't get inflamed, so that you don't have a space issue. But people will say to me, but then why does it hurt when I bring my arm up overhead? Well, you're shortening the space. So you're bringing that humeral head closer to that acromion, and when you do, it causes a pinching type of pain. And so a lot of people with what's called subacromial impingement or shoulder impingement symptoms, they have pain right when they're in this mid-range of motion. And then usually the humeral head is able to rotate out of the way when you're up higher here. So you're kind of in this mid-range. It's most of the time where the pain starts. Now, the more you pinch it, the bigger the tendon gets, the more inflammation, the more space it takes up, the more pain it can cause. So that's why you'll find that you actually start to lose range of motion because of the pain. The pain is limiting you from being able to bring your arm all the way up overhead. Now, there is one other really important structure in this area, and that's called the bursa. So the bursa we have them all over our body, but we've got a couple of them in the shoulder, and it is a fluid-filled sac, and it helps to keep the tendons gliding over the bone. so that the tendons don't rub on the bone, because, right, that would definitely be painful. Well, the bursa can get inflamed too, and that's basically like a balloon, and it starts to inflate and get bigger, which means it's taking up more space. And so you get this bursa gets inflamed and takes up more space in this area. You still have the tendons, you still have everything in there that was in there before, but now they're all getting squished together. And so that's what shoulder bursitis is. And that is, if you've ever heard that, I mean, bursitis anywhere. We're talking about the shoulder right now, but that's what bursitis is anywhere. The bursa is a fluid-filled sac that is meant to decrease tension in between the tendons and the bone, to provide a lubrication, if you will, for those tendons to glide over so that they don't get frayed by the bone. But when it gets inflamed, it throws everything out of whack because you don't have enough space. So what do you do about that? So first, who's the problem child here? So who is taking up more space than they're supposed to? And then we need to work on that issue so that the inflammation can go away, so that you have more space in that area for your shoulder to be able to move normally. Now, sometimes you do have some joints that are involved there that maybe they're not moving correctly. Maybe that helped to create this space issue. So sometimes we have to deal with that too. But that's why we do a complete evaluation, because we want to look at the joints, we want to look at the ligaments and the tendons, the muscles, everything in the shoulder, so that we can get a really clear picture on why you have shoulder impingement. Because your shoulder impingement is not the same as your neighbor's shoulder impingement. In fact, it could be 100% different. They could have completely different symptoms than you, because it could be a different thing that's actually getting impinged. So we want to figure out what is causing your shoulder impingement, which helps us to be able to figure out really specifically what's going on with you and the best plan of care to get you back to doing all the things that you love to do just as quickly as possible. So if you have any questions about this, or any questions in particular about your shoulder, I encourage you to give us a call for a body chat. Our phone number is 425-658-4944. We'd love to hear your shoulder story and hear about the journey that you've been on with your shoulder, and see if you would be appropriate for a discovery visit, which is a free, no obligation appointment that we have here at Physical Therapy for everybody, to help you make the best decision about your healthcare needs and about your shoulder. Also, I want to let you know that next Thursday night we are offering a free online workshop regarding shoulders. And specifically, we've been seeing a lot of people in the past couple weeks who have a lot of shoulder pain because they were putting lights on the Christmas tree, or taking lights off the Christmas tree, or putting lights on the house. There's a lot of overhead activity in December, and they're starting to feel a lot of shoulder pain. So that's what we're going to be talking about specifically on Thursday, is shoulder pain from putting away Christmas. And if you find yourself to be in that category, I definitely encourage you to sign up. You can give us a call at 425-658-4944. You can look here on our Facebook page. There's a sign-up sheet. On our website, there's a sign-up sheet. So all kinds of ways to get signed up for that. But we definitely would love to see you Thursday night. See you. We're online, but we will see you online Thursday night at 6:30 for that workshop. All right, have a good day, everyone. Bye.